Documents written on these clay tablets also refer to some of the patriarchs. For instance, it mentions Abraham, Ishmael, David. Oh, in the 1800s.
What? What in the world am I watching? Hey YouTube, my name's Matthew Cortman, and this is Bible Scholar Reacts. I'm a biblical scholar, and this is a series of videos in which I react to what is essentially some really crazy stuff on the internet. Today hits close to home because the person I'm reacting to is none other than the famous Seventh-day Adventist evangelist, Doug Batchelor. Now, Doug Batchelor runs a ministry called Amazing Facts, and you've probably seen him before as a televangelist on TV at one point or another in your life. The following video we're going to be looking at is a sermon he preached about archaeology and the archaeological discoveries supporting the Bible, and I'm going to do my best to react and to fact check exactly what Pastor Batchelor gets wrong in this video. But before we continue any further, I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor for this video, which is Adventist Today. So Adventist Today, I'm so happy that they believe in creators like me and want this kind of material to get out there. Their YouTube channel that I encourage you to go subscribe to has just started, and they're putting out some great stuff from their Sabbath school and other materials.
And we're finding out that the deeper that man digs in the ancient world, the biblical lands, the more it validates the authenticity of the Bible. And I think it's fair to say today, the Bible is the undisputed, most dependable book supplying history of the Middle East and the Bible lands.
What? That makes no sense. I'm sorry, it's a meaningless statement. It'd be very hard to find dependable archaeologists who have credentials and are well respected who would think that that broad of a claim makes sense. It just sounds absurd if it means in general compared to any works whatsoever. It's just no.
If you ask an honest archaeologist, even the atheists will say, while we may not believe in the God of the Bible and the religious aspects of the Bible, we are finding there is no book that provides better history than the Bible.
What honest archaeologist is saying that? You mean the one guy in the back room? Now, if you want to say it's the most dependable book we have on ancient Israel, that's not saying much because we don't have any other books about ancient Israel from the time period potentially, or even reflecting on the time period. So again, that's not saying much to say it's the most dependable. That's like saying that J.K. Rowling wrote the most dependable account about Harry Potter. There is no other account about Harry Potter. That was not a large bar to get above. I'm just saying.
The more they dug, though they may have had doubts going into it, the more they dug, the more they found out the rocks do cry out. All right. One of the other great discoveries of history, and this is in your lesson, as a matter of fact, I think I got a couple of pages mixed up, but you won't mind, was when they began to dig around on this tell called Tel Mardika, and it's an ancient city called Ebla. I feel very blessed. Did you read about that a little bit in your lesson? It's famous mainly for the archives they found somewhere. I've seen everything from 14,000 to 2,000 cuneiform tablets, well preserved. It was a virtual library. This is a cuneiform language that they were able to decipher. They dated from around 2,500 BC. By the way, this big discovery was in the 1970s. They found a lot of biblical writings concerning the patriarchs.
I'm sorry, what? What?
Biblical writings.
They found a bunch of biblical writings? I have never heard about the Ebla Dead Sea tablets. They did not find biblical writings at Ebla. That is not it. There were no copies of the Bible at Ebla. One, because even you stated it's around 2500 BCE. That would be really long before there was any Bible at all, let alone any parts of the Bible written.
Documents written on these clay tablets also refer to some of the patriarchs. For instance, it mentions Abraham, Ishmael, David. Oh, in the 1800s.
What? What in the world am I watching? Oh, this is silly. This is silly.
They doubted the existence of King David. They said he is a figment, he is a fable from Hebrew mythology. He never lived. There's no records we find of David. Then they dug up the tablets of Ebla. They found reference to David.
I'm going to do a rewind here.
They dated from around 2500 BC. Then they dug up the tablets of Ebla. They found reference to David.
Yes! Yes, the Ebla Tablets mention David 1,500 years before David was ever born.
Israel is mentioned.
Yeah, just think about that. Israel only existed for the first time in around 1200 BCE. These tablets, he said, are around 2500 BCE. Yeah, it makes total sense that they'd mention Israel and King David. Why not? Why not?
Esau is mentioned. Saul is mentioned.
You serious?
The bombshell in the Ebla tablets was when there were records of trade with Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, that just blew them away, because keep in mind, this is from the time of Abraham. Did they still exist then? It was during the time of Abraham they were finally destroyed. It was during the time of Abraham they were finally destroyed. It was during the time of Abraham they were finally destroyed. So they had trade records of Sodom and Gomorrah and the other cities of the plains. They're mentioned in the same order as they are in the Bible. Sodom, then Gomorrah. Same way.
They're not mentioned at all.
Do you have a question, Kelly?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
You might be kind of wondering to yourself, how could Pastor Batchelor happen to get all of this so wrong when it's so publicly known and available for research that the facts are the opposite? You see, it turns out that what Pastor Batchelor is spreading around actually owes itself to incorrect news reports that existed back in the 1970s. And that's really where the mystery begins to unravel, because it turns out it was all debunked in the 1980s, and Pastor Batchelor somehow didn't figure that out around the year 2010, 30 years after it was already debunked.
Oh no. You don't know.
I don't know. What?
Here's a wild thought. I'm just going to say, you could have called either one of the archaeologists at Andrews University, or you could call some of the archaeologists at Southern Adventist University and said, hey, can I just get a quick fact check? But you didn't.
And I hope that as you read these things, your faith will grow, that when you read the Bible, you're not just reading a religious book or a collection of fables. This is, I believe, the most accurate history book in the world. And that doesn't just start after Abraham. I believe it's accurate from Genesis 1:1. And I think that should time go on, they'd be able to confirm everything that you find from Genesis 1. Matter of fact, it'll all be confirmed someday, trust me. To the present day, that it is a book that is the perfect Word of God that He has preserved for us.
Pastor Batchelor is Seventh-day Adventist. Adventists reject the inerrancy of the Bible. We reject doctrinally the idea that the Bible is without error. We reject that. It's an evangelical heresy. But Pastor Batchelor is an example of someone who does skirt around inerrancy. I believe that every single thing in the Bible will be confirmed. Like, why? Why does that matter? You know, it's bad foundations theologically that lead for that need of certainty and lead for that need of like, oh, every single thing has to be confirmed. No, it doesn't. There can be false things in there. There can be mistakes. Someone can get the miles wrong. Somebody can go ahead and note that, you know, oops, I thought it was this year, but it's really that year. None of that undermines the Bible. If you think it does, that says more about you than anything about the Bible. All right, well, if you've enjoyed this, I hope that you hit the subscribe button. I hope that you went ahead and hit the like button. And I hope that you'll leave a comment describing your thoughts about all of this.
We get this question a lot.
Yes.
Is the earth round or is it flat? Now, I don't think we're going to answer that question.